our parliamentarian.
Yep, I'm Landon Cohen. I'm from Salina, Kansas, and I'm the parliamentarian. I helped set up our social event that I made include in our McAllister's fundraising event also, because we're going to do that after the meeting tonight. So anyway, I just did that as my part in the skills this year and really enjoyed being a part of it.
And one thing, our secretary, he's down at McAllister's already, and our treasurer is unable to be here due to his daughter's soccer games this evening, but he's going to meet us at McAllister's as well. One thing we didn't touch on is Friday, I think at 10 o'clock, we find out where we all placed in these skills competitions as well. So
it kind of sums up what we've done, and it really has been a kind of a second semester. Wasn't quite sure how first semester was going to go, and so we really just kind of put this organization together, and it really was everybody here that jumped on board and wanted to be part of the organization. So I say kudos to the individuals here who stepped up and wanted to take part of it. So any questions from us to you guys?
Frank, how many, with skills, how many different programs and students could participate? How broad does it get?
Every student enrolled on this campus can participate.
Second program or otherwise?
Gen Eds or adult learning, all of them can be part of it, yes.
Questions from the board or comments to any of them?
So I say great work to everybody. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yes, fantastic work, guys and girls.
Frank, in a non-COVID year, as your ballpark figure of how many more students you hope to get involved?
Oh, so at one time we were as high as 21 students. So my goal is to double that, 42. So I would be happy with that.
And what would that percentage of our enrollment be at 42? Rough guess.
Yeah, I probably couldn't answer that.
Come on.
I'm a math person.
8 or 9.
I don't know how many
are
students
how
are.
many are in school? I'll tell you right now.
What is our current enrollment?
Well, we're just in a good year, non-COVID year, we're at around 900.
So it'd be a small percentage if we just
Yeah.
leave it at that. So
So the students who participated in the competitions, would they tell us a little bit what the competition was like?
absolutely, good question. Who wants to start?
I can do mine were just online. Mine were, since it's medical math, it's pretty explanatory. It's just math related to the medical field. And then medical terminology again. So it's just kind of multiple choice. The quiz bowl, that was a little bit, that was fun. I liked it. It was kind of buzzed in, and it was different than I thought it was going to be, but it was fun. And so mine was all online, and so it was kind of easy for me. I'm sure that it was a little bit, I don't know how your guys worked, but.
So for the HVAC program, ours was a little different. We had to do 3 skills demonstrations. We had about an hour time limit for each. And we actually had to do a hands-on portion where we installed a integrated control board on a furnace, did some brazing and on a residential AC unit. And then we also simulated working on a walk-in freezer or walk-in cooler, make sure we had the right temperatures and deciding if we needed any refrigerant added or removed and how the system was actually running.
And Frank, with that competition, if I remember right, that was recorded?
The competitions were not recorded,
Okay.
but what it was interesting the way we did it. So we actually had to have proctors with video cameras that were actually zooming to a judge in Hutchinson. And so each one of the contestants actually had their own proctor that would continue videotaping the whole time that they were actually performing their skill. So we worked on our own equipment in our own shop. And so that's how the other schools did it as well. So they had proctors, they were being zoomed in to a judge in Hutchinson, and they were actually being scored that way. So it was a different situation, but I liked it. I think maybe the one drawback that a lot of people took was this was going to be a virtual. And it wasn't like virtual. It wasn't like we were working on computer games. It was just remote. And it was our live equipment. It was real torching. It was real electrical. I mean, it was still all the real stuff. It was just in our own shop and it was our own equipment. So like I said, I say kudos to all of these individuals that took part and stepped up to even participate and see how a remote contest would actually play out. And that's how nationals is going to be as well. So that's why we did it. I do have to say though, as COVID is, I guess in a way, kind of phasing out in a sense, that there are competitions going on this week that are truly face-to-face down in Hutch. So they have moved to that direction. So.
And remind me, Frank, if I'm right, 3 or 4 years ago, I went down to Hutch and saw part of it. You as the instructor can't be anywhere close when they're doing the competition, correct?
Actually, I can be. We can take as many pictures as we want. We invite everybody, the board, students, to come down. Now, there are contests, and I think that's maybe the one you're thinking of. It was for some reason, Weldy would not let anybody in, and Auto Collision was kind of closed door as well, but most of them are just open to the public. And because that's how nationals is, you're on the national floor, you're walking through, and you're viewing all these competitions that are happening straight up. So,
but you can't coach the students once they're started the competition. You're out of it.
Absolutely, yeah. That was even in this remote setting, I had to be off away and on camera so they could see me the whole time that I was not participating in any way. I do want to say the Quiz Bowl. I think we actually did some mock contest earlier in the season. So we did mock medical math, medical terminology, and we did the mock Quiz Bowl. And our Quiz Bowl, even as low score we may have had, the guys were having fun. And I think that's what takes from all of it. And that's what even in the HVAC contest, it's like you could be nervous, but if you could walk away and say that you had fun and you are glad that you did this, I think that's really the accomplishment. And I think, the Quiz Bowl, we had no clue what that was going to be about. And we had the judges rolling in laughter. So it was good. It was good fun. So.
Any questions from you students to us, to the board members?
I don't think so.
Frank, thanks for setting things up, and students with McAllister's, because we do like supporting them. They're good to us. So again, we did our dinner through them. When we're done, of course, your Zoom link's going to go away. You can continue to watch on the stream if you want to, but I really want you to go have some fun at McAllister's and have some good food and raise some more money.
The fundraiser goes till 10 o'clock tonight. So,
Okay.
So if you didn't get enough food now, just think you can go and reorder more. So, and I wanted to say thanks in supporting the skills organization here at MATC, because there is a lot of hard work and a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good. That, Mr. Chair, brings us to discussion of ends, which is Mr. Neil Ross.
Sorry, had to find my mute. So today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about our National Signing Day fall enrollment numbers, kind of give you guys an update where we're standing right now, and a little bit about commencement. So if you guys remember, on April 15th, we had our National Signing Day. It was going to be our third National Signing Day, but it just ended up being our second since COVID kind of interrupted our second National Signing Day. So it was our second time doing it. It was hosted down in what's currently the EPD classroom space, where we converted it basically into an event center for that particular day to celebrate the students that are beginning career and technical education. So through NC3, the National Coal Centers, oh my goodness.
National Coalition of Certification Centers.
Yes, thank you. It's a mouthful. NC3 is kind of a national driven initiative by them. It started originally at Washburn Tech. It has only grown. I believe they're up to over 100 campuses now nationally that are sponsoring and a part of this event. So on April 15th, we basically had our live stream publicly available on NC3's website as well as on our website. We had approximately, we could have had more, but guest was restricted still due to COVID. But we had approximately
Around 80.
Yeah, it was around 80 or so students participate, which is really good. The first year we did it, we were around 55 or so. So we're continuing to go up. The nice thing about this year is we did include our allied health programs in this one. So for example, nursing, medical laboratory technology, all of those selective admissions programs that the first year we did it didn't get an opportunity just based upon the event date. So now that the event date's a little bit later, we got the opportunity to get them involved. I did want to take an opportunity to share probably 3 photos with you guys just to kind of show you what the event looked like from some photos. Are you guys able to see the photos that I put on here?
Yes.
Yes.
So obviously in the EPD classroom looks very different than it probably does right now, but we purchased a couple banners that kind of have our brand. If you've ever been part of our commencement, we used to have more of a media backdrop, so we kind of made some inclusive banners with providing higher education and the flanking sides here. And then we had a projector screen as well as you can see the amount of people participating. We were able through Jim and the foundation to award 3 students with $500 scholarships. So that was a really nice benefit for those incoming students here and then coming fall of 2021. And then this next photo is just for fun. It's a little kiddo signing. So obviously we got a little bit of participation there throughout. So that's kind of National Signing Day. The live stream, or it's not live anymore, the pre-recorded stream has been viewed about 295 times. So that's really good. When we were live streaming, we had around 50 people that were actively watching the stream as well. So great milestones, and obviously each and every year we will continue to grow those from that standpoint. Before I move on, was there questions about signing day? Yep.
Speak a little louder because I think we're having an audio issue.
Sorry, I have the old stuff, Josh.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that.
Did you guys catch most of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. It's probably because I'm turning away, so I'll make sure I just face directly into the camera and not look at my other screen. So was there any questions you guys had about signing day? Okay.
It's really cool, and Neil and a lot of people helped put it together, but it's just a very fun thing for the students, and it's so cool to see the students getting so pumped up about Tech Ed. Good.
So the last 2 things I wanted to talk about tonight was kind of fall enrollment. Jim asked me kind of to provide you guys a little bit of an update on the program enrollment. Currently, we're seeing about 60% capacity filled in our programs. This is pretty typical where we're at right now. Some of the programs don't start filling until after graduation, but we generally want to be at a 50% threshold by around now, which we are over that. So we're tracking just perfectly fine. We've received 127 seat deposits or intent letters at this point. So we're pretty much on track for this time of the year to be in, I would say, the 90% or higher capacities is my goal. And obviously Carmela wants me to be 100%, as does everyone. So obviously the goal is there. We do have one program in particular that's a CTE program, or one of our career tech programs that is actually going to be, I'm pretty certain it's full right now, because we just sent out 3 more letters to students and they're completing their seat deposit. But our construction technology program will be full already for this upcoming fall, and that was actually with Sarah allowing a little bit of an upage in what we've done in the previous years. We generally had around 18 students in there. We'll have 20 for this upcoming
That's the
fall.
first time that program's been full since I've been here. It's taken some time, but it's working.
Correct.
So just wanted to give out shout out to Richard. He's doing a really good job out there, talking with business and industry partners and really getting our word out there with the home show and everything of that nature. So there's other programs obviously at 70% or higher capacity. So like I said, pretty good point where we're at. So any questions in particular about fall enrollment?
And that does not include high school enrollment. We're just talking enrollment here in the fall, outside of gen ed. We're just talking tech programs.
Yep, I'm just talking programs because our high school enrollment's kind of a little weirder. We start a little bit later in the term. So you'll start seeing those trickle in around the summertime period, just the way that high school enrollment works. So. Okay. So the last thing wanted to talk a little bit about with is commencement. That's our next event that's coming up. So one of the big factors obviously was we wanted to get back to kind of in-person commencements. We did a virtual one back fall. It's just not the same feel. We want to celebrate the students first and foremost in person. So this May 14th and May 15th we'll be doing that. We actually have split out the commencements, well, the pinning and the commencements into 3 separate ceremonies. So we'll be hosting our nursing pinning and our dental hygiene pinning on Friday, May 14th. But they'll also get at the same point in time conferred their degrees. So those will be combined pinning and commencement. The reason why we're doing that is because we're hosting at University Christian Church, a little bit more capacity to allow guests. So initially we had restricted guests to be able to attend just because based upon capacity of the venue. We've since opened it up and allowing 3 students per guest with the opportunity for the students to petition up to 2 additional guests.
And K-State wouldn't let us go back to the ballroom because of COVID, correct?
It was 60-40 on what the answer was going to be, and I wasn't going to get an answer till April around this week, so I had to roll the dice and go with another venue. Yes.
But UCC has been great to work with.
So as Josh can probably allude to, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be committed to UCC based upon the IT pieces there. They're just, they have the infrastructure built a little bit to handle some of the YouTube live stream, and it's just a built-in banquet of technology and just camera systems and everything, because that's how they host a lot of their live streaming ministries. So they have a lot of good equipment. We'll play around with it based upon, we actually were just there today doing a run through, and I'm pretty sure Andrew and Josh were super excited, as was I, on all the features. It almost became, well, we can do all this stuff, and there were so many options I didn't really know what to do. So it's a good opportunity. Like I said, we were kind of forced into testing it out, and it might be an opportunity that we might continue to use into the future. But we'll see how this upcoming spring goes from that standpoint. But the reason why we're kind of splitting it out that way, like I said, is to get as many guests in there safely with COVID and social distance as possible, because we want to get back to a little bit of celebrating our graduates that worked so hard to get to this point.
So on that Friday afternoon, when's it started? Which one's first?
Yep. So 2 o'clock is going to be the dental hygiene one. So that's when they basically kickoff or commences at 2. And then shortly thereafter at 3:30 will be our nursing pinning, and that does combine our ADN and our PN graduates. So then on Saturday, we will be hosting all of our career and tech programs that are graduating, and that one will begin at 10 a.m. On Saturday.
So on Friday, with either of them, if you can be there, we have places for you to sit, okay? Just let Mary know if you plan on attending so we can make sure we have you set up. The only one where we're going to have a speaker is on Saturday morning. There won't
Yep,
be a
and I'll
speaker
make
on
sure that
Friday.
I give Mary a electronic invite that she can send to all you guys with the details, so you don't have to remember the times and dates. So whichever one you guys would like to attend, we'll always have that space reserved. So that's totally up to you guys. So
We've had great participation from board members in the past, but I also realize it's a weekend. You may have other plans. It's K-State commencement. It's Manhattan. I mean, that on Friday, I've got the dental and nursing here, and then I've got my daughter's high school graduation that night, and then back to UCC on Saturday morning. But before I go to dental and nursing, I'm going to go play in the Home Builders Golf Scramble on Friday morning, so I can smell good when I get to Clemson.
I'm sitting next to you.
Neil and everybody, again, they've done a great job. UCC's been great to work with. So if you can attend, great. The people will attest, we try to turn it into a celebration and party. It's not a serious affair. So any questions for Neil, comments? Good work, Neil. Thank you.
thank you.
Next up, incidental information. Any community reports from the board?
I was just gonna say, what, I thought I heard some pretty good numbers coming out of the Grove Green match day the other day, last week, and I don't know if there's been any final numbers published, but the initial number I heard was like in excess of $1 million.
Right. Yeah, it was.
It was $1,094,000.
I think it's incredible statement on behalf of the community. You know, so.
Yes.
We did well. I'll admit, most of my fault not putting more into it. We had so many things going on. We did send out stuff to previous donors, to you folks, the foundation. Harry helped with some things, and Harry and I are going to talk on some other foundation things later. But since you brought it up, I think we pulled in 12,000.
1325.
Okay. Of direct donations, that will be matched at 50 cents on the dollar by Phil Howe. That total will then be matched dollar for dollar by the Department of Ed. So we're going to come in at just under 40,000 for the day. At our next meeting, we'll be able to, by then, Community Foundation will have run the numbers and we'll be able to give you an update on where we are with the Title III endowment, but we're pretty close to hitting our goal. If we haven't made it, we have until the end of September to keep raising money. There won't be the match part, but we can keep raising money that the feds will match on a dollar for dollar. So again, it was a pretty good day, good support from a lot of people. And again, the purpose of that endowment is to help us sustain the changes we've made with the Title III grant, especially looking at software, equipment, things like that down the road. Any other comments or questions?
No, I know everybody had a busy schedule on that day, but it would have been great if we just would have had just a reminder. Because I mean, it totally slipped my mind, and I emailed LJ and I said, hey, is it too late? Do you think you're gonna put something in? He says, was it yesterday? Yes.
But this, we'll still get the dollar for dollar match from the feds.
Okay.
So we can still give you $2.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
I think I made it at about 8:30.
Did you really?
I remembered it.
Richard got some front page coverage in Manhattan Mercury. I thought was really good for the students. And then at the home show, they really represented MATC very well. So he's built a good relationship with them.
Done really well. You know, welding over the past couple of years, if you get up on the lookout where it says Manhattan, those benches were made by the welding department. the bus stops, the new bus stops are made by our folks.
Johnny Call.
The handrail at the Johnny Call Park, we did. I think he's working on some stuff over in Junction City.
No. We have to be projects, but construction technology is full. That's the first time in 5 years.
More than 5 years, it's been 22
Really?
students.
And again,
This year,
That's what they've got coming up. Yes, sir.
our issue is that capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But we're chipping away on it.
It was kind of out of my county, but I did talk to an individual today from the school board at Randolph on the interest for the high school students from there. Seemed extremely supporting of that.
Michelle works with Neil is every day she is full with visits. I think tomorrow, Thursday, she has Concordia. High school are bringing students in 2 days down here, which again, that's the home of Cloud County, but we have more applications than we have spots for. Again, will apps turn into actual enrollment? We hope so.
Right.
But right now, everything is trending for a return to pre-COVID. This current fiscal year, credit hours have been off by 20%, primarily due to COVID and the impact on the high school enrollment. But again, looking ahead as we build our budget for next year, it's built on conservative numbers until we see what actually goes in the bank.
I was gonna say one other thing too, our commercials that are on, they are awesome.
I like them.
I mean, every time I see one of them pop up, I'm just smiling.
There's a new one coming for the Olympics.
Yes. Mr. Ross and Bryant. For the first time, we actually have someone that have assigned to PR marketing. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yes, so Bright Niffen came on with MATC through the Adult Learning Center. He supports that program as their assistant, and he does the marketing for Cape State Band and has for quite some time, is my understanding. And so he, being over there, he has some time to be able to work on some flyers and different things. And so we've really identified he has a talent and he understands our branding. And so a lot of the branding, Bryant and Andrew, they did this. And so, and it's being done across campus, so there's consistency. But yes, so what we did was we knew that there was a need with the growth of the institution, that we needed somebody to concentrate specifically on the public relations and the marketing piece. And so we were able to identify some funds that the college could pick up and devote some more time. So 50% of his time will be utilized specifically in regards to marketing for the institution. And that started April 1.
It's actually part of your organizational update.
I did get that one.
Yeah, I've heard from the other community college and tech college presidents. How many times are you gonna run that commercial? A long time.
The Olympics one will be for our new program.
I don't know if anyone listens to Pandora, but we also have ads running on Pandora as well.
Really?
We do.
That's Neil, working with Bryant. They handle all that.
It's awesome. You guys keep it up, because like I said, and I'm proud of it every time it pops up. I'm like, hey, I know those people. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, ayes have it. Consent agenda passes. Did you cover anything in here?
Just real quick, on our energy bill, what did you end up on
We're gonna
that?
get into that later.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
we're ready for you.
We haven't paid it.
I didn't see it in the expenditures.
I seen Evergy and I thought, that's not too bad, but then I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yes.
We'll start with Carmel. Are we good?
No, general agenda first one is Sarah.
All right.
He's just keep it over me.
Learn before we do it.
So the first,
Nothing.
yes, Mr. Chair. The first thing I'll be discussing that I brought to you is just an FYI to come through the board is the search evaluation policy. It has been updated to match the negotiated agreement. Faculty Senate has seen it and approved it, and then we're going to, there's some things within the negotiated agreement that we're gonna have to update as well to get them both in line with one another, but this is the first step to that, and so this is just an FYI if there's any questions. To that.
So that does not need action.
No,
Just an update.
it already approves. Already approved.
Next, regional testing center.
This I need action on. So, last meeting before last meeting.
I think it was in January.
January, okay. Darren Ortega and Cindy Foxberger presented the results of how well the regional testing center has been doing. And we wanted you to understand how well they've been doing with the space and the location that they're at. We have prepared a proposal to you and utilization of the dental hygiene building once the program concludes on May 15th. Because of how quickly the testing center has grown, because of how many sponsorships and partnerships we have, which we are #1 in the nation with the number of those. We have 5, where most testing centers have maybe two at max. Meaning that the number of credentialing and licensors that we can provide there isn't one yet that we found that we can't do. The traffic in there, the need for testing, the space they're getting to capacity very, very quickly. And so this proposal is being brought to you to get approval to move the regional testing center out of what is currently 411. So they share the facility with the adult learning center over to the dental hygiene. The reason we proposed the dental hygiene building is because it's already set up for the entry points and the check-in points that we have to maintain being a licensed testing center. And so there wouldn't be a whole lot of construction, very minor things that would have to take place to make that move, but the capacity of the testing center could increase dramatically. That it could then become more efficient, self-sufficient in regards to the revenue side of things. With that move, what it also happens for the adult learning center, because it's reaching its capacity, is right now, because it shares space with the regional testing center, it's over 2 different buildings in 2 different locations. We would be able to put all the resources of the adult learning center into one location so that it's more accessible to students as well. So there's the fiscal implications where Carmela can talk better to that. Go ahead.
So, sorry, I didn't bring my
No,
copy.
you're good.
We acquired the regional testing center, and so the first year was 2018-19, where they made about $6,600. The following year, they increased that by 104%. So even in the first year, we saw a definite growth in it. They're already on track, even with this COVID year, to increase that by even more. So this, to me, naturally, as far as fiscal implications, is almost a no-brainer because we do foresee this as being a self-sufficient center. Currently, right now, the only expenses the college, and not really the college, because the regional testing center coordinator's salary comes out of the ALC budget. Once this splits out, the college will pick up a portion of it. But we think in the next 2 to 3 years that the testing center will be able to pick up those costs. So then it's running on its own. As Sarah mentioned, they continue to grow. They continue to get more tests. They continue to just, they're wowing us left and right with all of the things that they can do. And so if we're able to get them into the the current dental hygiene building, phase 1 would be really just picking up their furniture and their things and moving them over there. Really wouldn't be a lot of cost to it. Because again, this is the first step. Now, phase 2 is them growing within that same building because there's many different rooms and opportunities for them to grow in there. But phase 1, literally for this proposal here, would be a minimal cost to the college.
Chris, you shared with a few of us a week or 2 ago about what you guys were investigating as far as how many accrediting or credentialing bodies
5.
we have? Is that confirmed?
Yes, there's 5, and the next closest would be 3, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah,
in
so,
the nation.
yeah, we have more than anybody else in the nation as far as that breadth and tests we could do for licensures, credentials, et cetera.
And we're pulling people from other states because we were one of the first testing centers in the state to open up with the COVID pandemic.
And we have one of the higher capacities.
Is there any other locations in town?
K-State,
K-State, but they only have partnership with 2. So they're limited on the tests that they can provide. Plus, their seat cost is higher than ours. So part of the move with Regional Testing Center is Darren took on the position as being the director of the academic resources and testing. And so he does student testing out of the Teaching and Learning Center. And this puts all of those resources together in one area of the campus as well.
In the proposal, I saw something about some equipment that's going to be left in there from the dental hygiene program. Is that something that can be pulled out?
There'll be minimal equipment. And when we talk about equipment, it's likely going to be computers and stuff left there because
Okay.
everything else, we're working with a phase out plan with
Yes.
that
Okay.
current director to donate those items to, there's a place in Kansas City that's opening up a low income dental
Sure.
practice. We're gonna donate most of the things there. Some of those things were donated to us from other dentists where they want those pieces back so they can redonate them. So we're working on a phase out plan for that equipment.
Okay.
Donate what you donate to us.
Yes.
That brings up the next question then. Do we have the infrastructure in there, electrical, Wi-Fi, everything to be able to support the vision?
Josh?
Yes and no, but
Yeah,
I'll let
Josh.
Josh take it.
Yeah, we have most everything we need to at least get started. There will be a little bit of cabling we need to do to get kind of stage 1 going. When we move into stage 2, there'll be quite a bit more additional cameras, computers, et cetera, that will need more cabling and things ran. But as far as electrical goes, we're in good shape. It'll mostly be more network cable drops, things like that. Wireless, we're already in good shape there because we serve Wi-Fi out there for the dental building already. So they'll be mostly adding additional network drops in locations where we will have more lab type computers for the testing stations.
And does this take into account you have an idea of what the expenses may be for the cameras and?
Yes. When we started putting this stuff together, Josh, Sarah and I worked together with a couple other folks putting those quotes together because before we brought this proposal to even Jim and of course to you all, we wanted to make sure we had an idea because we did not have the funds as an institution to do this big drawn out renovation. We needed to be able to pick them up and move them at minimal cost, at least to begin with.
Okay.
after the Title III grant ends in September, we have to sit out a year before we can apply again, but we're already working on ideas for that next proposal. Some of the things we need for the testing center could be part of that proposal.
Okay.
And hopefully by then, if it continues on the track it is, do you need to go?
No.
Continues on the track that it is, it's more, it could be likely that the revenue out of the testing center could cover the cost for the expansion.
Okay.
Yes, that is the goal.
And then being in that facility, if we move into dental hygiene again, that's separate from the rest of the building, so they can be open when they need to be open without putting anything else as a security risk.
Exactly, we can open up capacity to offer testing in the evening and weekends, which is what we've been asked to do.
The floor plan for the layout, has that been run by the fire marshal?
I don't think we ran it by the fire marshal per se.
No, and that's potential. So it's
Yeah.
currently, if this proposal goes through, it's, some of the rooms are already there that we can use, so we'll just pick them up.
Yeah.
But when it's time to renovate, that's when we'll bring them in to make sure. Most of this is already kind of chopped up that way
Yes.
from what we currently have for dental hygiene.
There's some requirements for
For
ingress and egress.
exiting.
numbers and rooms, but
Right, right, and within a clinic, the ADA requirements in most cases have already been met. But because we're moving the site itself, the testing center itself, it has to go through a separate approval process
Yeah.
before we can even put it back online and everything, so absolutely. Good question.
Carmelo, going back to the donations that we're gonna make to the low-income dental facility, do we get some credit for that donation? Like donation in kind, or does it benefit this college at all? No?
It's just community
It's
service.
just community service because we're 501c3, the foundation is, so
Then if we could get some kind of credit.
Can we put a
we don't.
higher education sticker on it or something?
It won't hurt us at all with some of the grants we're hoping to go after and be able to mention we support, you know, locally, statewide. So, if you're supportive, we need it.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and make the motion for the relocation of the regional testing center into the old dental building.
I'll second.
Motion is seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Let's go ahead and do that. Mary's gonna pass some things out that we'll talk about in a second. There's a lot of stuff trying to happen in Topeka with the legislature. I say trying to happen. I was on the phone a good chunk of the day with our lobbyists for the tech colleges, with the lobbyists for the community colleges, with staff from the state regent's office. We're still trying to push for the tax credit. We're trying to push. There's also been some movement to see would they just do an appropriation for capital outlay, similar to what we asked for in the tax credit. While they've restored funding for Excel and CTE, the high school part of what we do, they're still talking about a cut to tiered and non-tiered funding, which is our primary appropriations from the state. They have passed, the governor signed the Promise Act scholarship last week. Today, they were trying to work on funding for that. The Promise Act scholarship, and if they get funding, I'm gonna give you more information in May. I've got it. The Promise Act is really targeting workforce, targeting two-year colleges. It will be another scholarship that students can get to reduce their costs for loans, et cetera, but it has a stay in Kansas and work requirement where you have to pay it back. The news I didn't like today in talking with the different folks I was talking to, KBOR will administer this grant, this scholarship, but they're saying it's going to be each college's responsibility to do the tracking and reporting on the students. And then if the students don't live up to it, it's up on us. And it's like, pardon me, that's BS. So a lot of moving parts again there. What we've shared with you, let's start with the graphs. During the HLC conference a few weeks ago, when I went to the president's session, they shared these with us, and they're self-explanatory, but it gives you some idea of public perception. It gives you some idea about the perception of actual rising cost. You know, we hear everything about student debt. The cost of what the colleges charge hasn't gone up near as much. Students are maxing out loans. So part of that comes back to that financial aid counseling. And it's one of the things Laura and our crew do well to keep that default rate down. But I wanted to share some of that with you because there's some misperceptions that we're loading up the students with debt. We can only recommend. The students get to say how much they're going for. But you see on there the public perception of some things with higher education and with us. So that's nationwide data. That's fairly recent. The PowerPoint she shared with you in black and white comes from the Chamber of Commerce. And for the past probably 7 or 8 months, they have done a series of surveys. It's been George Kant from the Chamber here and Jack Alston from Pot County Economic Development. And again, you can go through the slides. We're not going to go through them one by one. They're pretty self-explanatory. But Sarah and Nathan and I have met with George, Darren Solden, and Amber Wilhelm from the Manhattan Chamber, as well as with Jack. We're working on this with them because as you look through that and you see where the needs are from the employers, they got to have us. You want to talk about manufacturing, IT, healthcare. You want to talk about skilled workers, keeping people in the region. That's all over us. I appreciate their comment in there. They got back that, you know, they need K-State to have enrollment increases, et cetera. Yeah, I want K-State to succeed. But the underneath part of this, if you want to keep the economy alive in this region, you better look here. So I have responded to the chamber with some information. We are meeting again in a couple of weeks to keep educating them about what we're doing. And again, what we've shared with them over and over, same old song I tell you, we need resources to up capacity. And the investment of the resources is pretty small compared to the payoff. With that in mind, for the last several days, and especially yesterday and today, Sarah and Nathan have worked directly with reps from Caterpillar. Yesterday, I was on a Zoom call called by Representative Highland from Wamego, and we had the Secretary of Commerce, other staff members from Commerce. We had Jack Alston, Economic Development from Obunsee County, other people, because CAT needs us to put a welding lab in Wamego. Well, that's what the third building's for, but we've roughed out an estimate real fast of what it would take to get us going. We need about $330,000. That would be the equipment and some basic renovations we need. It's not a perfect plan. Here's the thing. If we had that, we put in a 10-station welding lab. What CAT needs is our Cert A. It's a 1-semester program. So we could run 10 students in the morning, 10 students in the afternoon. Do that in the fall. Let's say we had it up and running by the fall, do it in the spring. All of a sudden, you've got 40 students prepared to go into welding at CAT or any of the other employers around here. 40 times their probable first-year earnings of $40,000. That's probably conservative. Let's see, for $330,000 investment with us, we're going to put up 40 people combined making $1.6 million. But I got to have the resources. We hit up Caterpillar today. They had staff. They had some of their staff here on campus. Sarah and Nathan, they talked with the welding teachers, welding students. Then Carmel and I sat with them to talk about, we need this investment. We'll be glad to call it the Caterpillar Lab, anything you want it, but we need help to do this. We shared yesterday with the Secretary of Commerce, who's the Lieutenant Governor as well, with Representative Highland and others. The tax credit bill is stalled, capital outlay, we don't get what we need, but here's the return on this investment. I've mentioned both to that group and the Caterpillar today, we have about $170,000 left in the challenge grant from the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation. So if somehow we could raise $170,000, I could match it. We got the money to do this project. And it's that return on investment. This is a no-brainer. So, you know, David, I'm not going to put you, I don't mean to put you out on a limb, but perhaps you can guide us. Could we approach area banks in Wamego and hear about some donations to help get some of that challenge money to do that? Because again, we're going to be creating more and more welders that are going to stay in the area.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And the back half of that building will be for construction trades, correct? In Wamego? Potentially. But again,
Something along those lines.
we know with the development on Highway 24 between the two communities, you're going to need construction trades, you need welders. We want to put in an electrician training program and a plumbing program. We need all that. This builds up people that stay in the area with good incomes. So please put on your thinking caps about how we can go after this. Now, we're working on the challenge grant, working on the tax credit, working with Caterpillar on what they might be able to do. I worked with one of our grant, I have a grant person that worked for me in Illinois when Sarah and I were at Spoon. We put her on retainer when we needed her to help write grants. She helped us get the NSF grant for the Critical Environment Tech Lab. So worked with her today, and there's a private foundation in the state, the Sunderland Foundation. They made their money off Ash Grove and cement. They do bricks and mortar projects. They don't do other things. They do bricks and mortar. So we're going to work up a proposal to them to do the renovations in Wamego that I've discussed on building 3 plus the rest of building 2. Then, now you ready for the rest of the story in Wamego? We're not even halfway through it. We have a company, a competitor to Bayer.
Yeah, so.
They own a site in the Wamego Industrial Park that they will give to us if we can get funding to put a building in there so we can do CDL and diesel mechanics. Which Jack Alston is salivating because you've got MCM, you've got CanEquip, you've got Foley out of Topeka, you've got Bayer, you've got Schilling, and the list goes on, and they have constant turnover. So the other part of this grant we're gonna work on to Sunderland is to put a building there to do that. So we're gonna go for about $4.5 million total and hope something happens. But again, the owners of that property sat with Harry and I down at Tap House a couple weeks ago for lunch and said, we'll give you the property if you can get the building. Then, next chapter continues to be the work with Marvin for the Career Academy. I meet with him on Thursday. I'm sorry I'm not getting anywhere in Junction, but we're going pushing where we can push otherwise. We're sitting on a potential gold mine here if we can just get some investment. Again, almost 65% of our graduates stay in the 3-county area as employees, taxpayers, consumers. We got to figure out a way to get some of that help. Any questions? Sorry for the.
You said that going back to the Wamego deal that you mentioned about the industrial park property and CDL and whatnot. You said you were going to go for $4.5 million. What exactly do you mean by that?
We need about $1.5 million to finish the renovations at Wamego, to finish building 2 and building 3. Then about $3 million for about the new facility on that site. We've had BBN work up concepts for it based off the concept they did for us here. That would be about a 14,000 square foot building with truck bays on one side for diesel, on the other side for diesel or for CDL, and fitting that out. One more thing.
So the other civil construction company in Wamego, you probably
Ebert? Yeah.
gotten with them as well.
We've talked with them as well. They don't know about some of this. Jack's next assignment for us is setting up a meeting with all the people that might want to support CDL and diesel. Right now, he's been working on CATs. One last thing to share with you. I worked this up a couple of weeks ago when I was ticked off at my brethren at the tech colleges. And this is all data from KBOR's, I think Dave knows, KBOR does data books every year for the universities, the tech colleges, and community colleges. So this is from KBOR's latest data book. The 6 state universities get 77.6% of the public funding, state funding for operating and general funds for higher education. That's about 21% of their university expenditures. Tuition and fees are 25%. You'll notice I did a cost of their per FTE, their full-time student equivalency, based on what they get from the state and their funding. The cost to educate per student is $39,000. Washburn University, which includes Washburn Tech, they get 2.5% of the state funding for higher ed for one institution. They have county and local appropriations. Tuition and fees are 30% of their revenue. Their cost per FTE, a little over $18,000. There are 19 community colleges. They get 17% of the state funding. County and local appropriations are almost 32%. They get about $250 million in property tax money combined. Then tuition and fees, you see their FTE just under 16,000. The 6 remaining tech colleges split 2.7% of the state funding. And that represents almost 30% of our revenue. The 2 counties that get anything locally or from their county are Wichita Tech and Flint Hills, and it's not a taxing authority. They get an appropriation from their counties for economic development. Tuition fees are 33% of our revenue. Our cost per FTE, $12,227, $77. Our lobbyist today was taking this information to ram it down the throats of the Senate Ways and Means Committee. And we're hearing more and more. Representative Highland said it yesterday in the meeting we were in. Senator Baumgartner from Johnson County. They're cheating the tech colleges like crazy. And when you look at our return on investment. So you can share this with whoever you like. They can call me if they have questions. And I'm not mad at the universities for what they get, but this is crap. We don't need millions of dollars you give each of the tech colleges 1 million more. Watch what happens. Any questions?
How are our cost comparisons? And I don't know if this is apples to apples with tech programs in other states.
We're generally less expensive because they have taxing authority.
Okay,
I mean, they're running at a higher overall operating cost than we are.
okay.
Also, our tuition and fees, I think Carmela looked after we did our increase, we're in the middle of the pack
We're in the middle.
of the state technical colleges. So applications are up. She's done a heck of a job managing the budget. All of our repeated to that because we've been off 20%. Stimulus funds have helped us, no doubt about it, but they're limited in what they can do. We have to stay within those limitations. We've got these incredible opportunities in Pot County and then here with the high school, plus what we keep trying to drive at Fort Riley, Flint Hills Job Corps, and hopefully, I'm gonna wear them down over there. Eventually, we're gonna get Junction.
We'll wear 'em down.
But David and you other folks, if you can brainstorm with me, how can we approach businesses and other people? And again, I think part of it is they hear us talking about a building and they're thinking a K-State capital campaign or a school bond issue. I don't need that level of help. I need a Butler building.
States Board of Regents has got this. Or not?
It's in their data book. I took all the data from their data book.
But have they done this?
I have not shared that with them yet, but I'm going to talk about it when I report to the Tech Ed Authority Thursday.
Would it do Hutton any good to have the advanced copy of this?
I think I can send this to you digitally if you'd like to share it with him.
Okay.
Because he's a supporter.
Well, I'll just scan it, you know.
Okay. Should I get off my high horse? But I just wanted you to know, we got a ton of stuff going on besides accreditation, which she's going to get to in a minute. But these opportunities. Okay, my apologies for getting wound up.
Some of that.
I was the one who wound up.
Oh, no.
I did, you mentioned the CDL portion of it. I did see something on the MSN website about a shortage of tanker drivers, especially hazardous material, fuel, things such as that. So
I've had a couple of industries already reach out asking if we do CDL training because there's such a shortage in.
We had CDL and diesel under our programs at Spoon that we ran. The curriculum, not a problem.
No. It's the space and trucks.
But I've had MCM and I think some others, they said, if you get this in there, we're gonna make sure you've got trucks and trailers you need.
And not to mention, we have an EPD program whose trucks are constantly breaking down.
And their
That's the
students are
highest
required to have a CDL.
Yes.
right.
Definitely be a help.
And there's only a few programs in the state that actually train to manual. A lot of them are automatic, and so our students from EPD have to have the manual endorsement on their license, and so it's hard for them to find programs that they can get that because not all of them teach to that.
Again, if we had that McCall building, not only would we be doing CDL, we'd be doing warehousing and logistics.
Huge.
That's the most perfect site for this tech college I've ever seen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm done with my
You guys
fantasy and my.
spoke with Union Pacific much? But they do a lot of,
Yeah.
well then.
We don't now. Washburn Tech and Johnson County do a lot more with the railroads. We did at Spoon.
We did it Spoon in a program.
But it's diesel mechanics just for the trucking industry and then the farm equipment.
Yep.
Would be a big thing.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm up. So this is HLCs in our lives. For
My news is exciting. Hers is.
Mine's not so much. So, oh yeah. Okay, so Mary is passing out the agenda and a tip sheet. So, I've been going back and forth with the HLC review team chair in regards to what their requirements are gonna be when they, do the visit, the Zoom visit, on the 3rd and 4th. We will have, Reverend Dr. Leonard Favara here, on site on the 3rd.
Praying for us.
I actually got told I couldn't call him Reverend. He doesn't want that, so I have to start calling him Dr. Favara. So anyway, I thought I was being respectful. He is going to be on site on the 3rd, and so he has a list of very specific departments and areas that he's going to meet with while he's here. But at the same time, you can see that we've set up a very extensive day of meetings with the review team. The day starts out with a tour for Dr. Favara on site. There's very specific areas that they're wanting to see based on what we talked about in our assurance argument. The next is a meeting with the president, and then there's a finance and budget meeting and then strategic planning. And then at 11:30 from 12:30 is the meeting with the board of directors. Now, just as I mentioned at the last meeting, each of you have to be on your own Zoom. Okay, they want to be able to individually be able to see you.
As many of you that can be available.
Yes, for the discussion. And so you had asked for it to be over a lunch period. I got it over a lunch period, so as many of you that can participate, we would appreciate that. Mary will send you a private Zoom link that will only be accessible to you for that. And then the review team.
Dr. Favaris, by the way, he is in Kansas. That's why HLC is sending someone from within the state to be the on-site rep because it's COVID. He's the president of, I think, Central Christian College.
No, McPherson.
McPherson College?
McPherson Christian Community
Something.
College or something like that.
But that's his role, is he's the in-state person to come and do the visit.
So, and the rest of the day is open sessions with the rest of the college community. And then Tuesday, there's morning sessions. We do have another open forum community constituent session Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock that will be Zoom. We are working on getting that session out there publicly. We'll send information to city officials, chambers, advisory committees. So if there's somebody who's interested in MATC and they want to be a part of that conversation with the review team, please let them know they can come to our website where the Zoom link will be available. So at that time, they'll be able to log on and have a very open conversation. There won't be anybody from MATC on that Zoom besides community members.
And will Dr. Favara be on site both days?
Just on Monday.
Just on Monday.
He'll be on
Okay.
site on Mondays and then he'll
Okay.
Zoom in for the other sessions on
Okay.
Tuesday.
I know that's been discussed at our last meeting.
When they leave on Tuesday, they won't tell us anything other than thank you for your hospitality.
Yep.
See you later. They won't give us any insights. They will work together to write their report. We will get a copy of the report to correct factual errors, not opinion, but factual. If they got a number
Titles,
wrong, titles, things like that. Then at some point, we will get their report and HLC will give us time to respond to it, especially if we see something again that's grossly an error. I don't anticipate any significant issues compared to the 2017 visit. We're so much better.
We've gotten some requests from the review team already, so we've uploaded additional documentation as evidence to support what we wrote within the assurance argument. And so all that has been completed for their review. So we have on Friday, we have mandatory sessions for both the staff and faculty so that everybody who will be on site will be prepared for the visit and who will be participating in the meeting. So everybody's aware they'll all be participating. Thursday, Neil and Nathan will meet with student representatives from each of the programs because they will have a specific session meeting with and discussing things with just students. So we'll have 2 representatives from each program and about 4 representatives from general education to meet with the review team. Once again, nobody from MATC will be on that discussion. So as promised, your tip sheet. Casey and Kim did a fantastic job. Each of the criterion are laid out, then you have each of the subcomponents. What we provided is a little bit of a synopsis of what we talked about within the assurance argument. So depending on what they may talk to you about, this is, instead of reading 34,000 words of the assurance argument, we thought this might be a little nicer for you. This same tip sheet will be used for all staff and faculty when I do their sessions on Friday. The big parts that I can see them talking to you about will be criterion 1 and criterion 2 and maybe 5,
Our mission, vision,
ethics.
our ethics, your board management style, as far as, again, it's means versus ends.
Yeah, institutional effectiveness, strategic planning.
Hard time teaching it to other boards right now.
Is this just gonna be like question and answer,
Mm-hmm.
basically?
Yeah.
What if there's just nothing but silence?
You know, if you're not sure of an answer, you can just say, you know, right now, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't try to pull anything on them. They're pretty wise.
Very cool.
They're gonna ask questions to
I'll look
engage.
it up and get back to you.
They're gonna ask you questions to get you engaged in a conversation.
Hopefully it'll be more like a conversation, at least that's our understanding from what the review chairs told us. They're not trying to find things on us. They're really wanting us to brag about the great things. So I think that's the opportunity they're gonna try and give you. The other thing that's on this review sheet is that we do, because of coming out of the pandemic, we do have to address the COVID situation and how we as an institution handled it. At the very end of this, there is the tips and things that we had done in regards to our response to that situation. We did have to complete a separate report that had to be submitted. And so just in case they would ask you about that and the effectiveness of the institution through the pandemic, here are some specific notes in regards to what we did implement and keep us all safe.
You know, LJ, Wendy, and David, you've been on the board the longest. You've seen the changes. Tim, you're next. I mean, you, Will and David, you're less experienced with this, but again, you've got some experience with it. I think a lot of their questions are going to be to ensure you know what your role is. You know what your role is concerning me. What's the direction of the college?
And that's what they were after in our lab.
In the assessment.
In the
Yeah.
assessment, that
Yes.
I had the opportunity to sit in here with David on.
Well, instead of 2, there'll be 5.
Yeah.
If you've ever been in academics, you go through accreditation, you never forget it.
No.
I will spend the least amount of time of anybody on this campus. Also, they don't want to talk to Sarah and Carmela very much. They want to hear from our people and they want to hear from you.
Is there any specific questions?
I think the tip sheet helps a lot.
As we've told the employees, be prepared, don't be scared. Okay? We have a lot to brag about.
Yes.
We do things the right way as best we can with the resources we have. And again, we've made astounding progress over the last several years.
Just have to keep remembering it's Wamego Center, not Wamego.
Great job.
Right, yeah, it's an additional locate or it's an additional location.
Location. Just getting started.
We'll add that to this tip sheet and resend it to you.
I saw it on there, our old
Is it
letter.
on there?
Yeah, it's on top.
Oh, good.
It's in there.
Thank goodness. We covered that over and over and over.
Okay,
That's all I had.
move on to the faculty senate officers unless you have questions.
Let's keep going.
Brian and Jeff, your turn.
Speaking of HLC.
Brian,
No.
behave.
Faculty senate, really not a whole lot. I was gonna say a few things about gen eds, but the thing is, we're really just getting ready for HLC, trying to keep our head above water, getting into the end of the semester. One thing I did want to mention, you guys were talking about the home show. I got to work at the Tulip Festival and I saw a lot of traffic going through the Tulip Festival. Probably didn't help or hurt that we were by the 4-H where they handed out balloons, but you know, location, right? But I did have a lot of interest from high school students that were talking about maybe looking at doing some classes at the Wamego Center. We're actually trying something this summer that I'm gonna be doing with 4 of my classes. And I'm gonna be teaching at the Manhattan campus on Tuesday. And then they'll be streaming from the Wamego centers if they want to. And then on Thursday, I'll come over and I'll teach in Wamego. And then they'll be streaming from the Manhattan campus. So we're gonna kind of try that, just that way we can kind of satisfy both places. I'm kind of excited about that to see how that's going to go. One thing I was just looking at, I just looked it up now on the transfer matrix for KBOR. They just had, I'd see now they have intermediate algebra summer of 2021 is when it'll take effect, that'll be a transferable credit as well. So I think that's going to be huge for us going on with the high school, because like this year I taught intermediate in the fall and college algebra now in the spring. Well, that would give our students over there 2 classes or 6 credit hours just in the, well, the intermediate would count for an elective, the college algebra would count as a math credit, but it still would give us 6 credit hours, which I think is going to be huge as far as a selling point for us. And with the going back and forth between campuses, I think that can maybe strengthen a lot of our high school communication beyond this. So I think in the gen ed side, there's a lot of growth. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. Trying to look here. Other than that, I can't really think of a whole lot of other stuff other than HLC, bring them on. I'm ready.
Jeff, anything you want to add?
No, not at this time. Just like Brian said, just working on the HLC stuff, making sure everybody's ready to visit.
And we want to extend our condolences to Jeff, death in his family. We've had a little bit of that throughout the college in the spring, but what I want to say, Jeff and I haven't had a chance to talk too much, but you know, when it's a parent, we've been through it. You have good memories that you hang on to. What I also appreciate is the way Jeff's colleagues worked with him so he could take care of family things. And that just speaks to the quality of our people care for each other. So hopefully I didn't embarrass you, Jeff, but again,
No, thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. And yes, you know, my coworkers, anywhere from faculty and staff, were super supportive in helping me get through this. So thank you all.
Yeah. Any questions for Brian or Jeff? Okay, so on May 18th at the Wamego Center, we're going to host an end of academic year celebration because most of our folks have not seen the Wamego site. We're going to have a barbecue, some things. I would invite all of you, but we can't have very many of you or it becomes a public meeting. So, you know, Tim, especially since you're from that area, if you would want to join us, part of that session, or if 1 or 2 of you might want to, let us know. But we're going to just try to give everybody a chance to say thank you to everybody, feed them well, have some games, just time to relax. Because it's been one heck of a year, but it's been more good than bad. Okay. I don't think we're going to have any mud wrestling that day. Is that right, Brian?
It can be arranged. I mean,
Don't give him any ideas, please.
I've heard there might be a buffalo, right, Chris?
Yeah. I think we're going to have buffalo bison rides. Okay.
Whatever you want to do.
You wore her down. I gotta get somewhere.
Thanks, fellas. The next thing in your agenda, if you'll permit me, Mary's pulled the stuff from the governance manual about the position of a board of director. At our next meeting, we'll go through terms and the process for anybody whose term is ending to reapply, and then also our dissemination to the public to see if who might be interested. But again, if you look through this, if you have any questions or comments, direct them at Mary so we can get that addressed when we meet in May. Okay. And again, if your term is ending, you have to reapply, but I hope you're enjoying what we're doing. I think we've got a good board. Don't really want to lose anybody. We need to add 1 or 2 people. We need to try to get somebody else from Pot County.
We need a woman. Yep.
I have no
That's right,
opposition to that at all. We need a rich one. And a rich man. No, it's, you folks are phenomenal. You know, you guys are, you're just phenomenal for a board. I think you do the right oversight. but you also give us the freedom to do our thing, and then we report to you on it. And that's, in all my years in higher ed, that's why I love working here. We have the freedom to get things done that matter and let you know about it. Okay, let me take a deep breath, and I think Mr. Harry Watt is still on with us. Harry, I'd like you just to share some of your insights, some of the things you've been doing related to our development process, if you would.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
I've heard.
I've actually enjoyed that drive over on 24. It's been, it gives me a chance to kind of think about what's the mill work and what needs to be done after we've had our initial meetings. But we've had some really good discussions. The things we've done, Dave, you might find this of interest. We've worked with the Hills with Lance White. Got some really good insight from him in terms of the bank involvement from the 6 banks that are over there. And so I think that there's some real opportunity for Lance and myself and Jim to put together a group meeting, just kind of go through the plans that we've been dealing with, and just thought there would be some opportunity there. We've met with Ebert and obviously with Wamego Telephone Company. We're going to do some follow-ups with Dimax, Central Mechanical, BHS, obviously continue our work with CAT. In order to get the funding for all of this, there are a number of things that are playing out, and Jim's already talked about those. I mean, we've got, if the tax credit bill works its way through the legislative process, that will be a huge deal for all of us. Not only MATC, but certainly all the tech, to the point where all the infrastructure needs will be met. You start talking about producing kids coming through these programs in the state of Kansas for the next 10 years. $3.5 million times 5 is well worth it. And I'm frustrated that sitting tight in a committee in the Senate. Not sure what it's going to take for us to get that out, other than I think, in the 11th hour when they're working budgets at the very end, I've seen a lot of magic happen. So, I talked to Jim today about working with his peers about grassroots advocacy on behalf of that piece of legislation. We're uniquely positioned, with all the technical colleges and the fact that they serve the entire state and they have relationships they have with their legislators. I would love to be able to see them reach out to their members in the next couple of weeks to see if we might be able to get them, make that happen. We will have all kinds of requests for funding. That's just not going to be a problem, especially if it comes in as 100%, because they get, not only do they get 100% return on their investment at the state level, they also get a 50% return on their investment on the federal side. So they're actually making money when they make those kinds of contributions. So that is, and I think, quite frankly, we've mentioned this to all of our key stakeholders over Wamego, and they're aware of it. And I think they're waiting to see if that happens before they open up their own pocketbooks and wallets and checkbooks to make a commitment to the current facilities there. I think what Jim's doing with Summerlin is huge. I think if Jack mentioned to me, just so you know, Jim, that the public library in Wamego also submitted a request to Summerlin. So just FYI as we work through that process. And of course, just the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation potential match. If we can get CAT to make a sizable commitment, we're almost there with that match. So, as you enter a new territory, it takes time to build relationships. But I can tell you that everybody's really excited that the center's there. They understand the ramification in terms of what that means for the manufacturing entities that exist in Wamego, which is significant. And I really believe that, we're just laying the groundwork for something pretty special. So we'll just have to, keep after it and see what transpires over the next couple months with not only the grant requests, but also the tax credit and some other opportunities with CAT. So.
Thank you, Harry, and thanks for all your help. He's setting up a lot of things. Good conversations. Any questions or comments for Harry?
Good work.
He and I
Thanks,
will
Harry.
be in Wamego tomorrow for the legislative luncheon, and then we're taking a few of the guests from that over to the center for a tour. Thanks to Jack Alston. All right, we do have a foundation trustees meeting scheduled for May 7th, where we'll talk about enrollment, pandemic, what we're doing with facilities, with especially Wamego, scholarships in the process. It's been streamlined, and we also have updates on the foundation accounts. We kind of shared some of that with you last month in an exec session. And then we'll be working with them as well about how do we attract some more people to be trustees to help us with fundraising. So David is the liaison from the board of directors to the trustees, so he'll be attending the meeting. Jared Willick is the chair. And we've talked about Grow Green again. We came in just a tad under 40,000 when everything comes together. But again, anything that we keep getting in for donations, we'll get the dollar for dollar match from the feds. So if you know of anybody I should visit with, let me know. Okay. So I think now we're ready for executive sessions.